Hey guys, it's Adam with Unleashed Wargaming. Got my very first, first in over 10 years, 40K battle report. Like I said, I haven't played this game in a long time. I am a fantasy player through and through, but with all these rumors in 9th edition and all that, I'm kind of hesitant to buy any more fantasy models until I see what they're going to do. I don't want to buy anything that's going to be discontinued. And so with the steam kind of taken out of that bag, I went ahead started to try some 40K again. I've had a bunch of Eldar stuff sitting in the closet for a long time, been painting it off and on, and thought I'd give it a shot. So this is 1750 Eldar versus Chaos Demons. It's just an overlook of the board before any models are put down. The side that I'm on now is the side I will get. And yeah, just a bunch of just terrain. Not like fantasy. Don't have to keep up with what it does. He won the roll off, so I had to deploy first. This is on my right. I put my Wave Serpent with, there's 5 Wraith Blades in there. And they're inside the Wave Serpent. They're good. They're toughness 6, strength 5, 2 attacks, 3 on the charge. Armor is a armor value of 3, and my initial goal was I was going to go flat out with this vehicle, get it as far up there as I can, and dump out some Wraith Blades on his side of the board. But we'll see why that didn't happen in just a minute. Beside them, taking a little bit of cover there with that garbage, is a 5 Wraith Guard. Then in my center, I have a Fire Prism. Next to them is 10 Guardians with a Scatter Laser as their weapon platform. Then next to them, I have 9 Dire Avengers with an Exarch. The Exarch has a power axe. He's got heavy aspect armor, and I gave him a Shimmer Shield, which will give the entire unit a 5 up in vulnerable save. Now, me being used to fantasy, playing fantasy for 21 years, I'm used to taking an armor save and then an invulnerable save. Little did I know you can only take one. I knew you could only have one kind of cover from armor or cover, but I still thought you got your invuln save if that failed. So, yeah, that was a little bit of wasted points since I get a 4-up armor save. But in that unit also, I put my Warlord, which is my Farseer. He has his rune armor, ghost helm, runes of witnessing, the other runes as well, runes of warding, I think it is. Singing spear upgrade. Then he's got his normal stuff he always comes with. And I gave him I think it's the runes of fate, the ones with guide, and the spells I actually took with him are guide, doom, and fortune. You'll see what they do during the game. I gave him the Spirit Stone of Anathlan. Can't think of what that does right offhand. It never really came into play. A long rifle, just because I had the points to do it at the end left over. He fires it once, don't think he hits anything. And the Mantle of the Laughing God, which actually did come into play. The Mantle of the Laughing God gives him Shrouded and Stealth, and so that's pretty good. That's my army. He brought his demons, starting on my left side. He's got a Soul Grinder. I'm not sure what all weapons it has, but it does have the 12-inch flamer where it fires out and then lands 12 inches, lands the flame template. He took a pack of 12 Fleshhounds. I don't know if that was 2 units that ended up coming together, so like 1 unit, but yeah, 12 Fleshhounds, and that's nasty. In his middle is his Warlord, the Great Unclean One. Then in this little building in the middle, he's got, I think those are pink horrors. If you see back behind that building, you'll see a red wing sticking out. I didn't see him when I was taking pictures, but that is a Bloodthirster. On the right-hand side of the building is his second Soul Grinder, and he has got the Pie Plate and shoots 3 times as well, I believe. Sorry. Like I said, I'm not very familiar with 40K, so the names of these weapons are going to elude me for a little while. And over on the far right, he's got 2 units of 4 screamers, and above them, I didn't know he was back there until he moved. Behind that building you see in the top is a demon prince. So lots of big nasty stuff coming at me. And as you see, these screamers here are the reason I didn't want to go flat out and come out in the open, because they are AP2 and Armor Bane or something like that, where they really tear apart tanks. My objectives to begin the game were take no prisoners, secure objective 5, and big game hunter. So take no prisoners is to completely destroy an enemy unit. Secure objective 5 is self-explanatory, and big game hunter is kill a vehicle or a big monster, and if I kill 3 of them, then I get D3 instead of 1. At the end of each phase, I'm going to put up a little screen to show you what objectives I got. I don't keep up with his. This was my, like I said, as a starter game, my first time doing 40K in a long time, and it was really taking a long time for me having to look things up and all that, so I didn't really try and keep up with all of his spells and all of his objectives. So it'll get better as we go, and I figure out how I'm going to do this. Oh yeah, and way over on the left, I didn't know they were there either. He has 4 bases of Nurglings that scouted up behind this building beside my warlord. Of course, he rolls a 6 and steals the initiative, so that's the way everything moved up. You can see his Bloodthirsters flying in. Demon Prince, the green one, towards the middle, flew up. His warlord moved up some. Everything's just kind of shifting forward, getting ready to do some damage and charge. In his magic phase, he got off one spell that didn't do anything. Don't remember what it was. Then he did a summon spell and summoned a free unit. So he's got 10 Bloodletters. I didn't want to let that go through, but he cast it pretty handily. And once I saw what he was doing, I kind of thought I could make it work out into my favor. So that spell went off. In his shooting phase, one Soul Grinder tried to target the Fire Prism. It hit, but I made my cover save. And then the other Soul Grinder targeted my Fire Prism, and it hit, but I made my cover save as well. So literally dodged 2 bullets there. Eldar turn 1. I think in turn 1 he did get an objective. I think he was holding an objective back there in his own lines, but like I said, it was enough to try and learn the game and all that I wasn't keeping up with his. I do have a final tally and everything I'll go over at the end. But I moved my Dire Avengers up onto the hill so they could get their 2 shots off really well. I moved my Warriors up. My Guardians, moved them up with their weapon platform. One of my objectives, in the very top right corner, you can see a little thing inside that building, little ruins. That's an objective I'm supposed to hold by the end of this turn. On this side, I didn't really move. I did shift both of my tanks so their holofields would help me out, and but that's about it. And as you can see, all of those Bloodletters are gone. It took the Shuriken Cannon on my Wave Serpent. It took the Serpent Shields. I fired my Wraith Cannons into it from my Wraith Guard. And then my Guardians actually moved up and finished the job. But killing them off didn't really score me any kill points towards the end, like in the end of the game, but it did give me first blood, so that was nice. It was something anyway. Oh, and back in that last picture, you can see there's only three of the Screamers there, if that's what they're called. If that's not what they're called, that's what I'm going to call them for the rest of this battle report. But the Fire Prism shot its big template, hit, and killed 1. So, good deal. The Dire Avengers did pretty well. They shot and killed 2 of the hounds and put a wound on a 3rd. So yeah, I don't know what to expect from them really yet, but I thought that was pretty good. I didn't get Guide on them. I did cast Doom on the enemy though, so that kind of helped me get those wounds off. Here's a, I didn't get a picture of it, but I did run those Guardians, and they did get objective 5 there in the middle. And I did pull the Dire Avengers back. They backed up behind that cover trying to get out of the dog's charge. But a look at the objectives that I got in turn 1. I got first blood for killing those bloodletters. I had the card that asked me to kill a unit, so I got credit for killing those bloodletters again, and I held objective 5. So that's 3 objectives in turn 1. That's not too bad. Demons turn 2. This is just an overlook of the board after my turn. You can see the Dire Avengers moved back. I think it was only 4 inches they got to go. Oh yes, and my Warlord trait for my Farseer was that any deep striking units within 6 inches of him don't scatter. And I do have some warp spiders with an Autarch, and I also have 2 flyers that'll come on later too, but you'll see them. So that might come in handy. Alright, Demons turn 2. His Warlord moved up like so, and I don't know if I missed his magic or his movement, or if he just didn't have that much, but you can see 2 Guardians are dead, and I think he laid, he vomited on them. That's what he did. It's one of his spells that he got off, so he vomited on my Guardians and killed 2. Then he shot with his what's that called? The Soul Grinder on the far right, the one with the pie plate. He fired his guns and killed a Wraith Guard. He got a charge off with his hounds into my Dire Avengers. I tried to Overwatch, but I don't think I even hit once. After combat, as you can see, only 1 Dire Avenger died. I was happy with that. And I was able to kill 1 dog and put a wound on another. So 1 wound to 3 going back into him. But that is after his leadership. So I didn't really do 3 wounds. I probably did 2. He did 1. They lost by 1, so I actually got another wound off. So, but I'm happy with that. I expected my Dire Avengers to be dead. Over on this side, he charged in with his Screamers. And easily killed the Wave Serpent. And he did plenty of hull points to it anyway, but I had already shot the Serpent Shield, but he would have wrecked it anyway. But with it being wrecked, the Wraith Blades that were inside disembark, which actually works out again into my favor because now I can charge in my turn rather than disembark and then wait a turn. So lost some points, but still it works out. And there's an overlook of the board after Demons turn 2. This is a look at the stuff that I have in reserves. The one on the left is a Crimson Hunter. The one on the right is a Hemlock Wraith Fighter. And the things in the middle are my Warp Spiders. I have 5 Warp Spiders, an Exarch, and an Autarch in that unit that all deep strike. I rolled for my reserves and got all 3 of them. Both of my flyers came in. My, the Crimson Hunter managed to get around and angle behind this Soul Grinder on this side. My Hemlock Wraith Fighter, which I've never used either of these, and I thought that the Wraith Fighter was a little bit better in hand-to-hand than he is. But hand-to-hand. No, in shooting and taking out big stuff. But no, he's not really. If I rolled 6s, they're automatically penetrating hits with his distortion weapon, but they're only strength 4, so he's not really going to hurt anything. They're templates. And none of his psychic or none of his casting abilities really do anything against demons except maybe summoning. And so basically he's almost wasted points. Over here, this picture, I should have left it out. I dropped my Warp Spiders over here thinking they could assault when they came in, but when he told me they can't, he allowed me to drop them on the other side. Yes, right there. Sorry, the picture is wrong. But they dropped in on this side over here within 6 inches so they didn't scatter. And So that works out nicely. I will find a better way to do my magic phases, but I used 3 dice and cast Guide on the warp spiders and got it off. And then I used 2 more and cast Doom on the hounds so that I could reroll wounds against them. Guide lets me reroll shots. Doom lets me reroll wounds. So pretty good. And boy did it pay off. These warp spiders moved up their they jump forward anyway, open fire, and just do an insane amount of hits and wounds on this bloodthirster. And even with his invuln saves and all that stuff, the bloodthirster goes down. That will get me assassinate. That's killing a character, and I also have big game hunter, so that was awesome. Already these warp spiders are just paving their way to some of my favorites. Sadly enough, with the Crimson Hunter and the Wraith Fighter, I only put 3 points of damage on the Soul Grinder instead of the 4 that I needed. And since flyers can't hold still, I mean, it's going to take me some time to get back around and finish him off. But still, he is immobilized and has 2 more hull points gone, so at least he can't move up and get that flame template any closer. On this side, if you look back, that second unit of Screamers that was back near that objective marker by the fence is down to 1 model. There's 2 laying down where these Wraith Guards shot and just blasted them. And then my Wraith Blades charged into the 3 Screamers that are still here to try and finish them off. And they do, without much trouble at all. They just hack those things to pieces. And then, let's see if I got a picture of the consolidation. I did. They consolidated about 4 inches towards the this other Screamer. And so now they're also contesting that objective if it comes up. Over here in the combat with the dogs, it didn't go as well this turn. It looks like, yes, 5 of my Dire Avengers died. Sadly, I thought that I had a 5-up armor save, and I have a 4-up armor save. So that's a real shame. But anyway, he did 5 wounds. I did look like 3 to him. So yeah, killed 1 dog, put a wound on another. Leadership was down by 3, I believe, but I passed it, and we're still there. So good deal. There's an overlook of the board after my turn 2, and looks like he's already done his movement. Actually, the Great Unclean One has moved up, coming after my Guardians. The Demon Prince has flown over next to this combat, but he's still flying. I forgot to mention that Bloodthirster that got killed had landed. He had landed so he could charge. So that's how my Warp Spiders were able to take him out. And wow, it looks like I forgot to take a lot of pictures in his turn. But no, you know what? That was actually the end of my turn. That was an overview of the board. So we go to the end of the turn review, and now I have added Assassinate and Big Game Hunter to my objective. So that's a 5 objectives in 2 turns, not doing too bad. And now we go into his turn 3, and his Great Unclean One lays down a template. He does a spell where he vomits on him again or something, kills 2 Guardians. Then his Soul Grinder covers himself in glory, fires the big pie plate, lands it on my Wraith Guard, and kills all 4 of the remaining ones. So just annihilates that unit. Over here, he charges my spiders, my Warp Spiders, with these Nurglings just to tie them up. I could have sworn that their Death Spinners could be used in hand-to-hand combat. I couldn't find it, so we didn't play that way. If you know that it's in there and I just overlooked it, tell me. But if I'm wrong, just let me know, whatever, and I'll just keep playing the way we did. Um, but yeah, he charged me there just to tie me up. And then he charged his Great Unclean One into the Guardians, and that's not going to be pretty. And he got his Screamer in there as well. So yeah, that's a done deal. Over here in this combat, he did not kill any of mine. It looks like I did a wound to him one by one, and he took another wound from his leadership test. Yeah, the combat over here with the Great Unclean One was ugly. I managed to put one wound on the Screamer, but yeah, he killed 5 of the Guardians, leaving 1. And if you look over there where that combat was in the middle, you'll see the weapon platform and 1 Guardian are running for the table edge. The Screamer is chasing after him, but the Great Unclean One broke from combat and moved towards this other one with the dogs. In my magic phase, apparently I didn't have much movement. In my magic phase, I got Doom cast onto the dogs again, and then I got Fortune cast onto my Dire Avengers, trying to keep them alive. So that'll let me reroll my armor saves. I didn't get a picture of it, but after the Nurgling combat in his turn, I did my hit and run and broke from combat, and then charged into the rear of the dogs. So trying to keep my Warlord and these Dire Avengers alive, save those points. That's Alex. I charged over here with my Wraith Blades and hacked this last Screamer apart, so now he can't go after my Guardians. Over here in combat, it worked out pretty well. He didn't kill any of mine. I did 1 wound to a dog. No, it looks like I killed 1 and did 1 wound to a dog. But he's still there, and I was hoping they'd be gone by now. I moved my Crimson Hunter. I flew it from 1 Soul Grinder straight across the board to the other one. Managed to put 2 whole points of damage on it. That's a shame. Hitting his rear armor, I was hoping to annihilate it, take it off the board, but 2 whole points will have to do. And after my turn, we go into the overview, and the only thing I got this time was hold the line. So slowing down, but I mean, it was something. I think one of the objectives I drew this time was an objective on his side of the board right behind his Soul Grinder. So, yeah, that's kind of ugly. There wasn't much of a chance of me getting that. Moving into his turn, he shot his Soul Grinder and hit this Hemlock Wraith Fighter. I jinked and managed to save 2 of the whole points and took 1, so he's wounded a little bit. He was able to summon a pack of more Flesh Hounds back here behind my wrecked Wave Serpent. And he charged in with his Great Unclean One into my Warp Spiders. Not looking forward to that. He issued a challenge, and I accepted with my Exarch, because he has a 4-up invulnerable save. So I was, hoping to maybe tie him up a little bit. But as you can see, that didn't work. He did 4 wounds. I saved 1, and then he killed the Exarch and both of these Dire Avengers. But the Hounds were unable to do any damage to the Farseer. As you can see, I killed 2 of them, so there's only 1 left. He was unable to hurt my Farseer, so that is excellent. In my turn, actually at the end of his turn, I did hit and run with both of these units. My Warp Spiders jumped off the back and got away. My Farseer jumped off the front and got away. And now it's going into my turn. So in Eldar turn, I believe this is 4, I flew my Crimson Hunter up from behind that Soul Grinder there. I flew it up to the front so I could look across the board and see his other Soul Grinder. My Hemlock Fighter flew around here in front of it, hoping to roll a couple of 6s and finish this one off. I got 2 cards this time, 2 objective cards, and one of them was to hold this marker, which his Nurglings are a troop choice, and I am not, so I've got to kill them off to be able to hold it. And then my other one was secure the line, so I have to have 3 scoring units holding my lines. Fortunately, these Death Spinners are strength 6 to his toughness 3, so wounds will automatically remove entire bases. On this side of the board, I moved my Fire Prism up closer so I could see the Soul Grinder, and then I moved my Wraith Blades back here to stop these hounds from getting to my Farseer. I was able to get Guide onto my spiders here, so just to give me a better chance of killing off those Nurglings. Then I was able to cast Doom onto the Nurglings so I could reroll wounds. Then I was able to cast Fortune onto my Wraith Blades so they can reroll their armor saves. And the Warp Spiders did their job once again, killed all 4 bases of Nurglings, so that means they are now holding that objective marker right there. And then that's just an overview of how they were standing at the end when they were holding that marker. The Crimson Hunter did its job and finished off the Soul Grinder with its Bright Lances. No, actually, it finished it with a Scatter Laser. Bright Lances failed. So the Scatter Laser finished him off. Over here, the Wraith Blades didn't really cover themselves with glory. I killed 1 dog. He did no wounds, though, and he passed his leadership check. So, but I guess they did do their job. They're protecting the Farseer. And there's an overview of the board after Eldar turn 4. In turn 4, the overview of the objectives I got was Objective 3, which those Warp Spiders are holding. I don't guess I got a picture of it because after combat in my running, I did a jumped to where I was still holding the objective, but I was also within 12 of my lines, so I got to hold the line. And Overwhelming Firepower was the other one. I completely annihilated a unit with my shooting when I killed that Soul Grinder. So going into Demon's turn 5, he's flying this Demon Prince around, but it hasn't been successful. He tried to do a vector strike on my Wraith, the Wraith Fighter, but didn't wound. He's been flying it around. I think he was a little nervous to land it, but yeah, he's been kind of hemmed in, never really able to get the right angles on things. However, the Soul Grinder did get the right angle he needed. He was able to put 2 hull points on the Wraith Fighter, rolled a 6 for the crash and burn, and made me a scatter and didn't hit anything, but took out my Wraith Fighter. At least it wasn't the Crimson Hunter. Over here, he charged the fleeing Guardian with his Hound and killed the Guardian. The only thing left is the weapons platform. Tell me if I did this wrong, but the thing has a wound and has points and has an armor save, so I imagine he has to kill it. But I did a wound to him in return, and they stayed in combat. The Wraith Blades again weren't able to finish their job here. They killed 1 more Hound, took no wounds in return. And there's an overlook of the board after Demon's turn 5. As you can see, his Great Unclean One came up to this building to look through the window and see my Farseer. My Farseer has run over beside the Fire Prism now, and it's just kind of staying out of town. But he tried to cast some spells. My Farseer, with his I mean, he has 4-up cover save anyway, and then he's got stealth and shrouded and all these good things. So cover saved him from any damages he would have taken. So yeah, not much left on the board here, but we'll move on to Eldar turn 5. Not much movement done. I moved my warp spiders in kind of close so I could. This is actually the turn I got secure the line. I drew that card. I also had to hold objective 3 and hold objective 4. So in this turn, I got guide off on my warp spiders, and they used it well. I mean, this thing has 7 wounds, so it's not like I was going to kill it, but I just thought I'd try and annoy him. So I shot at him, put a wound on him with my spiders. My Crimson Hunter flew back around behind this Soul Grinder and shot it and put the last wounds on it and killed it. The little boy in the background is not my opponent. That is my opponent's son. So, no, I'm not playing against a 6-year-old. My Wraith Blades still were unable to finish their work. They killed 1 more, took no wounds in return. And at the end of the game, here's the last of the objectives I got. I was able to hold objective 3. My Fire Prism actually moved up and held objective 4. And I had 3 scoring units back and was able to hold objective, secure the line. I was able to get secure the line. So 3 objectives in the final game, in the final turn. The game did end. It was getting late. It had been there for over 4 hours. And he was ready to go, and I needed to go. So we said, let's call it, tally up our objectives and kill points. And when it came down to it, there's an overview of the end. Eldar had 11 objectives. Daemons had 11 objectives as well. So we went into kill points. We decided to call it a draw, and then he said, you want to figure it out? And I said, yeah, let's figure out kill points. He killed 693 points of Eldar, and I killed 893 of Daemons. So an exact 200-point difference in the favor of the Eldar, but it was such a good game. We said it was a draw either way because we were playing for the objectives, and it was a lot of fun. It really was. We had a really good time. I was really proud of the Eldar standing up the way they did, especially with a inexperienced general. They're very, I would say they're very forgiving, but I hear a lot of people talk about how their armor's so weak, and I didn't go super magic heavy either. Everyone was telling me I needed to go with a council and warlocks, and put them all on jet bikes, and but I really didn't want to go with the normal. I don't want to play with Death Stars, and I don't want to play with cheese. So it was a good game, and had a lot of fun. Hopefully you'll be seeing more of these. I'm going to get better organized. For one thing, I'm going to make magic cards like I do with all my other stuff. I'm going to make magic cards for the Eldar so I can lay them out and you can see what spells were cast, and do a better job of keeping up with objectives as well, especially my opponent's objectives and spells. It was just too much to try and do while I'm learning the rules. So, yeah, it was my first game with a Night Strike. I enjoyed using them. I love this game mat. My wife got it for me for Christmas, and with the snow bases I have on my guys, I thought it just looked great, and it really adds to the game. But I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. I don't see a lot of still picture bat reps for 40K, and I can see why it would be kind of confusing with all the shooting done instead of movement hand-to-hand, but still, let me know what you think. Let me know if you liked it, if you think I should do more, or suggestions of things I should do in future battle reports with 40K. And I'll look over them and see if I can improve it any way I can. But I appreciate you watching. I appreciate any comments or subscriptions that you want to, if you want to subscribe to me. And hopefully I'll have another one up soon. So thank you very much.